Welcome back. Today we continue with our series of the 52 business mistakes I made as a business owner and entrepreneur for the last 17 years. These lessons are designed so you can learn from my mistakes and not do them yourself.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/peak performers. You can also find a link for this amazing offer in the show notes. In today's show, we're going to talk about Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. Mr. Pareto was an economist in Italy in the late 1800s. He noticed that 80% of the peas in his garden came from 20% of the pods. He noticed that 80% of his tomatoes came from 20% of the plants. At that time, 80% of the property owned in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. Today, this rule can be applied to all kinds of situations. And nowhere is it more valuable but in your business. In any business, you have to decide where you're going to put your energy, where you're going to put your focus, and where you're going to put most of your talent. Towards what? You've got to make decisions. And it's a really tough decision in business because you never want to give up or not pay attention to an area that's still generating revenue or profits for you, but it may not be producing the optimal profits and revenue, the optimal results. In a business, you'll find that 80% of your problems will be attributed to 20% of the causes. 80% of your profits are going to come from 20% of your customers. 80% of your complaints are probably going to come from 20% of your customers. 80% of your sales are probably going to come from 20% of your salespeople. This principle shows up over and over and over again. And with my manufacturing company, I was constantly looking at ways to implement this 80-20 strategy because it's real easy to one day wake up and find you've got all these different SKUs, all these different models, all these different colors, and realize that, yes, you don't want to eliminate anything because they're selling, right? I mean, why eliminate the pink version if pink is selling? Well, the reason is because black or yellow is just kicking its butt. And all the time you're spending warehousing, creating, inventory. The pink, you could be directing your efforts to selling the yellow or the black. It's a little counterintuitive because what it means is you're going to eliminate those things that don't fit in that 20% bucket. And I'm telling you, as an entrepreneur, it's difficult to let go of some of these things that are still producing good results in order to get better results. So why is this on my list as lessons learned? Over an 8-year period, I did this exercise several times, but I didn't do it enough. I started out doing it once every 2 years, and then once a year, and then once a quarter. And what I realized was, once you think you've got it figured out, and you know what's producing your greatest returns, it changes. And once a year, once every 2 years doesn't cut it. Once a quarter is what I found is the right mix. The right time to sit back and go, okay, this last quarter, what has produced our greatest results? Who has produced our greatest results? What areas do I need to spend even more time in? You know what we end up doing, at least I did, and I still may suffer from this even today, is you find those weaknesses, those areas that aren't doing well, and you try to figure out, okay, how can I do better in these areas? How can I get these things up? As opposed to playing to your strengths and saying, this area is really doing well. How do I provide more fuel, more energy, more attention to this area and have this take off even greater? And here's one thing that can trip you up very easily. You know, I'm all about profits. I don't care what your sales are. I care about margin, and I care about profits. Pay attention to those areas that are producing your best margins. Out of everything that you do, what is that 20% that's producing 80% of your profits? Focus on that area and start to eliminate the other areas and your attention to other areas that are not producing the strongest results. So, question of the day. Where in your business, where in your life are you getting exceptional results? It's your 20% that's producing the 80% of everything. What is that? Identify that and start putting more energy, more effort into that, and start dumping the other 80%. Have a great week and tune in next week for another episode of Thor's 52 Business Lessons Learned in Business. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.